are you?
Good, good. Enjoying another lovely day in this heat, but
Oh,
that's the way of summer, I guess. So
it's only 105 where you're at, right? Is that correct?
yeah, yeah, I think so. Yeah,
Nothing
something
crazy.
like
Dude,
that.
I'm excited because I know you're holding down the studio. Again, this is the second time where you're holding
Yeah,
down the studio and I'm remote tonight, man. So how's it feel
yeah.
to be the anchor tonight?
I got I got elbow room today. I can move. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm not in your space. Well, man, I got a special one tonight, but I'm gonna give you guys a couple more useful, I like to say useful facts about Oklahoma, Dane. You ready to hear some?
Oh yeah, there we go.
Because
Sure.
the band as a whole that we'll be referencing tonight is from Oklahoma. So I got a
Mhm.
few things here first. Did you know that Oklahoma was the first shopping cart debuted in Oklahoma?
Oh, hmm. Hey, when was that? Did it say when that was? Because
I
uh,
I think it was the grand opening of a Kmart. I'm just kidding.
I was going to say, and they've yet to get that Go Funny Wheel figured out after all
Yeah,
these years. I don't know what's going
still
on.
squeaks, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Did you also know that Oklahoma was the origination of the first Girl Scout cookie?
Oh wow, nice.
Pretty cool, huh? Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, I've had a few million boxes of those, so thank you,
yeah,
Oklahoma, for bringing that to us.
yeah. A few. Fill the old belly up there. Oh yeah.
And lastly, the singer's not from there, but the band itself that we're bringing on tonight, the band originated from a place called Tulsa, Oklahoma. The
Yep.
band we're showcasing tonight, the lead singer Tyler Parry from Shelter in Place, an amazing band. I'm telling you, dude, their stuff is very energetic, positive, kind of gives reminiscent as maybe some of the late 90s, 2000s, but then
Mhm.
also a fresh take. I don't ever want to compare bands, but a lot of that genres that kind of come to mind, things like even a Nickelback
Yep.
or a Three Down, also with a heavier element. Never want to compare someone, but if you're looking for a good straightforward rock band, a little bit of hinder to it, and then also
Yep.
heavy, great writing and all of that, this you're gonna love
Yep.
this band.
Def-
So I don't want to waste any time. I want to get right into it and bring on our buddy Tyler Parry from Shelter in Place. Tyler, how you doing, buddy?
Great, guys. Thanks for having me.
yeah. Thank you for coming on.
You
Of
staying cool,
course, I'm
Tyler?
excited.
You staying cool
Oh,
where you're
yeah.
at?
Oh, not at all.
Man, I love it, man. Thanks again on behalf of tell Jennifer and the boys you said hello. We're glad to have you,
Yeah,
man. Dana and I've got
Of
some
course.
questions over the years we want to run past you, Tyler. So I'm going to jump into it. The first question, man, I think about before you became a part of this awesome band. Love what I'm hearing, motivates me. I play you
yeah,
constantly. Like I said, Lose Control is kind of my anthem right now when I'm running.
yeah.
Before you started gigging with these guys, I'm sure there's a story, man. Take me back to maybe your first band when you first began. How old were you when you started making music, and all
Yeah.
that?
Hmm.
I started playing bass when I was 12 years old. And ever since then, I've been kind of enthralled in the music. As far as being in my first band, it wasn't until I was 20. And it was called Liquid Gandhi. It was a three-piece band. I was the vocalist and bass player. I had a vocalist and a guitar player, and we had a drummer. And that was kind of like my start in the music scene. And
Really?
that was Columbus, Ohio.
Oh wow.
And that was where most of my music career has been. I moved in 2018 to California to do more of a solo acoustic type gigging, and then ended up getting a gig to be a musician on a cruise line. And
Okay.
my
Oh, wow.
contract got canceled during COVID, and
Hmm.
I was visiting a buddy in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And I guess you guys can put the puzzle pieces
Yeah.
together. Way.
I see that.
History was made, as they say.
Yeah.
Yeah. So Dane, I tell the story to Dane. He's heard it 1,000 times, and he's like, "Oh my gosh!" So when you're back to when you're playing bass, right, in your first band, or whether it was guitar, man, or whatever, I always look back at the first guitar my dad got me. It was this 5-string Ibanez, this kicking Purple Roadstar. When was your first real instrument, whether it's a guitar or a bass, man? What was your first guitar you remember getting? I'm curious.
I saved up all my money and I bought a 4-string bass, and it was a Celebrity bass by Ovation. It was
Let's
like a
go.
cream colored, and I mean I love that thing, and that's what I learned on. That's how I started playing and started being in bands.
I love
Hmm.
that. That's awesome. Dane, I know that's like in parallel, Dane, that's a top-notch bass, man. So Dane, go ahead, man.
Now, with all the things you've done, starting from a young age and learning your craft and writing music, is there a gig or an event that you can kind of point to, or maybe even it's more than one that you can kind of point to that you always have to tell the story about that was one of your favorites?
Hmm.
Yeah, honestly, Shelter in Place's first gig, we started off with a Facebook page, and we released a single. and then it grew to like, other social media platforms. And a few months later, we actually released a whole EP, and that was our first show as a band, and it was at the Venue Shrine in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And there was it was a nice show. It was a great turnout, and I was like, new to town. I don't know anybody. I don't know what the music scene's like, and it was my first show with these guys, and Tulsa turned out. So I always
That's awesome.
like we got together, released a song, and boom, like that first show was really beneficial for us. Yeah,
it's awesome, man. Dane, we saw Yogi there. That's where Demon Hunter played, Dane. Same venue. Isn't that cool? So.
Oh man, it's awesome. Man. You always remember that first one. I mean, it kind of gets your feet under you and gets the ball rolling. I always listen to those stories, and I think, man, it'd been great to go back and be a fan right center stage with you watching.
Yeah.
I mean, because you can see the excitement on everybody's face when they tell about these events that they've done. It's always one of my favorite questions to ask.
Yeah, that's a good question.
That's good, man. So that's cool that Tulsa. By the way, you expect that in Oklahoma. We Sooners we're big loyal fans, man. So expect more of that in the years ahead, man. I'm curious when you look at your influences, man, because again, I don't ever want to be that guy that compares artists, but there's always references you pull from, right? Like I said, even listening to your voice style, I hear a little bit of, like I said, Three Doors Down-ish. I hear a little bit of Hinder, some of those references to early 2000s, but also keeping it relevant with the lyrics, man. I'm curious, who's a couple of your influences on you as an artist in your life,
Definitely like Alice in Chains, but you hit the nail on the head when you said Nickelback, Creed, like all the bands that everybody gives hate to. Like those are all the bands that we grew up with. We love those bands, and that's really 2000 90s grunge, early 2000s, and new metal. Like that's all our influences, and that's where we all loved and grew up with.
No, man, Dane, we talk about this a lot. That's where the best music came from. So you're a product of that. There's no better time for music than 90s. Like, Alice in Chains is my all-time favorite band. So there's nothing about the 90s that's bad. Everything was good in the 90s, man. Even the Crow reboots were good. Just kidding. No, but then go ahead, man.
We love harmonies, and that's a big thing with our band. We have 3 vocalist essentially. Like there's 3 guys that could go out and play a whole 4-hour show by themselves in our band. So being able to stack vocals, I think that really came from like an Alice in Chains and a 90s kind of influence for sure.
So you're laying in the guitar, says Jerry. Is that how it goes down pretty much? I'm kidding, man. Go ahead, man. Help me out.
So now that you guys got some steam going ahead, what do you see maybe from this point to the end of the year and even going into 2024 for your band? Are you guys releasing more music, doing more tours, dates, things like that?
Both, actually. We have a song called Thank You. It's going to be our single that gets released, and it's shoot for the end of fall is the release for it. Also, in December, we're going to do a little run with our boys in Awaken the Giant out of Texas, and do just a few shows with them. And we just played with them at Venue Shrine and threw on a show, and those guys are great, so we're going to do a little run with them.
They're a good band. I've listened. I'm buddies with a couple of the members of Awaken the Giant. It's a great scene. I think music. I'm so glad there's a rock revival, man. No disrespect to other genres. I love pop. I love everything, but I'm so glad rock is making a revival. And it's like these sleeper little niches of what you're seeing. You know what I mean? Like what you guys did. You put a page together, and rock is just making a comeback. We're all starving for good rock, so I'm glad you're helping lead that rally. You know what I mean? So.
Yeah. No, thanks. Thank you. No, thank you.
Dane, you're mentioning the writing process, right, Dane? I think you had a question on that too, right, Dane?
Well, I was just saying, whenever you're writing with the band, or you're writing a song, what kind of pieces do you guys do, or what's the collaboration look like whenever you guys are coming up with a song to put together as a band? You said you had 3 singers. Do each of you do the writing process as far as lyrics go, and then you guys get together in the harmonies and then bring it to the instrumental? Or what's the process look like whenever you guys are putting something together?
Our first album, that's a great question. Our first album was like all right, what songs do you have? And it was just kind of like that. And we played them, and whatever stuck and whatever like felt natural, we went with. So our album is a mix of it. We all write, sometimes I'll come with a little idea with an acoustic guitar and just like, hey, this is what I'm thinking. And then these guys will compose it to like guitar parts, bass parts, drum parts, and they'll make it exactly what it needs to be. And then we'll be like, oh wait, it should be like this. And then someone else will be like, well, we should have a bridge here. And then it just kind of molds itself with everybody's influence and what everybody feels. So it's always pretty much a collab with everybody. And I am the vocalist, so I do a lot of the lyrical writing, but as far as everything else goes, like we compose together as a unit.
I love that.
Nice.
That's a good question. I'll tell you, I'm serious, man, when I say this. Kudos to you. If you can make my kid listen to you along with me, that's like, she's like, who is that? She's like, who? She stopped. She was running through the house, getting ready for practice. She looked at me and goes, who is that? It's Tyler. Oh, what? She's like, send me the stuff on Spotify. So it's good to know that you're now passing what you're doing. It's multi-generational, man. Kids love you. Grown-ups love you. Everybody can get a little piece of the pie of what you're doing, and it's going across different generations. It's really cool. Usually kids will be into something and then I'm into something. It's like, oh, okay, maybe, maybe not, but you guys are bridging generations, man. It's pretty cool. So yeah.
Thank you. That's amazing. Thank you.
I do have a little segment, man. Dan and I, so to preface this will be later on DraftKings. No, I'm just kidding. But every time to look for the reaction, we do a little segment that we transition to called Rapid Fire. Now, I promise you, I'm willing to bet money in interviews or coverage that you've had. You probably haven't had questions like this. Now, they're PG, but they're fun. Our fans give us some weird stuff. Our fans are great. So Dan and I bet every time, Tyler, every episode we bet. The winner gets lunch provided for by the loser. We bet on what we think you're going to pick. So no pressure, but we're betting on you for these questions. Right? So perfect. Dan, you got your picks, man?
Yep, I'm ready. I'm
coming for you.
Like I tell everybody, Tyler, I've got a lot of ground to make up. I don't know how many I'm down now, so I'm counting on you.
So what Dane doesn't realize is, Tyler, I snuck up on this one because I've been friends with you on Facebook for a while. So Dan, I got a little advantage on this one, man, because I have to know a little bit maybe about you. So anyway, so these questions, man, you got to think about it. Imagine time is not relevant, reality doesn't exist, past or present, metaverse. Anything's possible, okay? So, first question, I'm going to hit you with this. You're called up. Now, again, the boys are rocking. You're doing your thing, but you guys got a night off from the road. And two lead singers call you and say, hey, Tyler, I'm sick. I need you to cover for me. Full set tonight. You got to jump in and cover for one of these two bands. Great vocalist, and I thought it's because you're a great vocalist. You got to fill in for the night for David Raymond of Disturbed, or you got to fill in for our buddy from Shinedown. Which one are you going with for the night?
Man. All right, so he has real big pants, so I don't want anybody to misconstrue this answer. But I know so much Shinedown material. I would have to pick that.
Let's go. I had it. Dan, did you have that one?
No, I had Disturbed.
Let's go. Let's go, baby. And it's like, if you think about the vocal range of both of them, like I think of even Symptom of Being Human by Shinedown, or obviously the remake of Simon & Garfunkel by David. They're both great. So I'm like, man, I had your pick for Shinedown. I really did.
Okay. That's actually two bands that we all hear a lot of the time. Like, man, you guys sound like this mixed with this. Like, and one of those bands would always get thrown in the mix.
I got you.
So, good question.
Next one, man. So next one, you and the band, all of you. There's a lot of times when celebrities and artists and actors make appearances in TV shows, right? So you guys are actually asked. This happens a lot. You guys get to be a part of taking your entire band and making you cartoon characters for an episode in one of these two iconic shows. You guys can all make an appearance and be part of an episode of Family Guy. Pretty cool. Or you guys can all be an episode, a part of The Simpsons. Family Guy, or The Simpsons, your whole band. Which one are you going with?
I think collectively as a band, we would all choose Family Guy for sure.
Dan, did you have that one?
Oh, yeah. I had that one.
Let's go.
Okay. Step in the right direction.
Here we go. So,
anything can happen on Family Guy, so.
I love it. And I can see you, man, like, you're sitting there talking to Peter, he's at your show and all that. I can see the whole scene happening, man. It's awesome. So
our humor would go perfect for the
I love it. I love it. Next one, man. So you guys are called up. This one comes up a lot on our show. You guys are called up to remake the theme song to one of these two iconic shows. You guys get to remake it and make it rock and metal and put your spin on it. It's one of these two iconic TV shows. The first one, you can redo the intro to Law and Order. Dun, 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 I'm talking classic Law and Order. Or you can redo the theme song to Star Trek. So Law and Order or Star Trek, the Deep Space Nine version. So I'll go a little nerdy for a second. Law and Order or Star Trek? Which one are you going with?
You know what? I'm gonna go with Law and Order because I know BBO would just eat that up.
Dave, would you have that? Did you have that one?
No, I had Star Trek on that. I'm failing.
You better redeem yourself, Dan. These two, man. But yeah, I can just see you guys like. I can just hear it in the back of my head. So if you guys want to go and make that happen on a live show sometime, not that I threw the idea your way, but I'll take credit for it. Okay.
Oh, of course.
I'm just playing, man. Next two, man. Final two. There's a lot of bands these days. I think a lot of like Hawthorne Heights has done this. I've seen Panic do this. A lot of rock bands do like pop goes punk and rock goes rap. So you guys are called up. They get with your producers and all that and say, hey, I want you guys to make a metal spin on one of these two iconic rap albums. Okay. You guys get to take one of these two albums and just have the liberty with it. Both of the artists love you and you get to make it your thing. You can either go and remake the Carter 3 by Lil Wayne or the Blueprint by Jay-Z. Put your spin on it. You're going with the Carter 3 or the Blueprint by Jay-Z. Which one you got?
I got the Carter 3 all day.
Let's go. I am crushing it, Dane. Let's go. What do you have, man?
I think you guys called each other beforehand.
We did, man.
Conspiracy. Conspiracy is what it is.
Okay, so last one. This is going to go into a little bit of imagine that gravity doesn't exist for this last question, okay? You guys are up and coming metal band, making your scene. So next year, 2024, you guys, we're going to call it, you get to play at the MTV Music Awards, but you're going to be the first band to ever do this crazy thing. You guys are going to perform live, not in the arena. You're going to perform live on an F-16 that's flying through the air. Imagine time can happen. So you're performing a gig like you're on the nose, guitarist on the wing, the drummer and all. You're just getting it. So you can be on top of a moving plane, or you can be on top of a moving train. Just imagine like maybe this Creed scene from the early 2000s, and you're doing your song. So you're on top of that. You know what I'm saying? Like if your beard's all flowing. So train or plane, which one are you going to be on?
Man, I mean, if gravity and all that stuff doesn't matter, and like you would have to be on a plane. I mean, there's no cooler thing. Like no one else does that. Like a train, yeah, that would be cool. Like that's something more realistic. But if everything didn't matter, like it would have to be at the plane for sure.
Can you see that, Dane? Like you sitting there on you're sitting on the nose, and like singing like Lose Control, and you're just kind of kicking it on the nose. Let's go, man. Well, Dane, did you have that one, Dane?
No, I had train, but I could see some barrel rolls going, and you guys just holding on. Yeah.
Okay.
I love it, man.
But then awesome. I could also see incorporating the train whistle on as you're going through a riff.
Maybe like a Crazy Train remix. I mean, we could go all
day
with
this.
You know?
Oh yeah. No,
that's awesome.
There's no input. So.
Well, Tyler, man,
I failed miserably on that. You guys.
It's okay, Dean. I'll take lobster best please from Red Lobster. It's all good. Nothing too big. But Tyler, man, hopefully in interviews and things you've done, man, you've had a segment like that. So we appreciate you being a good sport. I'll turn it back to Dave. Love it.
On this last segment, Tyler, we call this open mic. We open up the floor to our guests to, let them talk to some of our younger viewers that, look up to you and aspire to do the things that you've done, and maybe give them a couple of words of advice that you've carried with you. So do you have any mantras or philosophies that you've carried with you to help you on your path to success that you can maybe share with some of our younger viewers?
Definitely. If you have a dream and you love something bad enough, don't ever quit on it. It doesn't matter if you're 50 or 60. If you stick to what you want to do, eventually you'll make anything happen that you want. It's persistence. That is the number one thing, is being persistent. And that's the one thing I could say. If I could go back and tell my younger self, like, hey, one thing, be more persistent. be is I think that's the key to everything. It's
I love
persistence.
that.
Yeah.
It's neat because Dane and I talk about this a lot, Tyler, because we do a lot with coaching some of our athletes and all that too on the show. And it's one thing that Dane, you talk about all the time, man. You have to be the same on and off the field or on and off the stage, right? So Dane, you want to expand on that, Dane? You talk a lot about persistence too, Dane.
Yeah, I mean, it may seem boring, like we always tell, I always tell my daughter, it may seem boring, it may seem pointless, but once you got things down, you know what I'm going to do at this point, and you just keep one thing builds to the next. If you're just persistent at it, you keep going, stay methodical and just put the pieces together and you're going to get there. So that's a great message for the younger viewers or even older guys like me, like you said, 50, 60, go after it, be persistent, go after it. So it's a great message.
And Tyler, that's good good advice, man. I'm glad you've definitely been persistent and now are rocking our faces off. But you also have a sensitive side too. You got some good melodic ones, man. So I love it. So as Dane and I always say, Tyler, don't forget, man, open invitation. We called an alum. Once you come on the show, man, anytime you want to come back, maybe drop them some new EPs, catch up. We make it a habit to do that. You're welcome anytime to come back on the show with the boys in full if you ever want to down the road. Okay. So,
great. We would love that. Yeah.
Man, yeah, Tyler, man, I appreciate getting to meet you this format. I know we're friends online and all that, but it's nice to connect the dots and all that, man. So, like I said, from our fans here in our database who loves you, thanks for blessing us with some great tunes. We can't wait to hear more of it, more shows. Hopefully there's more touring, man. And when you come close to town, we'll be sure to catch a show of yours, okay?
Yeah.
So,
hey, thanks, guys, for having me. Appreciate it.
Of course, brother.
Hey,
yeah,
thank
man,
you.
we'll be in touch and we'll get this out to the world soon. And thank you, man. And you're welcome to drop off, but thanks for your time and much love, okay? So,
yeah, best of luck.
Thanks, brother.
See you.
So Dane, man, I love that guy, man. Dane, I told you he's a great lyricist, great person, great presence. What'd you think of him, Dane?
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, all the things you want in somebody that does something great. They're humble about it. They're willing to tell you the process. They're willing to talk about the things they've done. I mean, it just makes those kind of people more endearing to not only us but our fans as well. To know that somebody that's had success like this is willing to take you even for the short amount of time we get them under their wing and say, this is how I did it. This is some of the things that my mind goes to whenever I'm building myself. I mean, you can't say anything but great things about guests like that when they open up like that. So I'm thankful that we had them on and wish them nothing but success. And I can't wait to hear their new stuff when it comes out.
It's good, man. Everything they've done. And there's a side where I say, it's neat to see, and like you said, the story, you can tell how they came about as a band. They took something as horrible as 2020, which was a rough year for all of us. It's something great, and that's kind of the origin story where I knew that where this came from. To take something so rough and to make something so inspiring out of it, and it's real life, man. They'll talk about things that are real and deep, like we need to hear, but they'll also have a positive side too. It's like it's just real life, So if you can talk about real life, go ahead.
Yeah, I was gonna say, and you can rock out to it, like you say, when you're running.
Yeah.
Just time goes by quick, and before you know it, you're 10 miles down the road, and you don't even know how you stepped on the gas so fast.
I love it. Well, you guys, we'll get this out to the world as soon as we can. Thank you on behalf of all the staff of Shelter in Place. Thank you, Jennifer, for loaning us, Tyler, for the night. Thank you, all of you guys that are listening out in the audience from Florida to Finland to Nigeria. We love you guys. It's a great night. Dane, we got a couple more tomorrow night as I close. Tomorrow night, we've got some sports for you. We've got Chase stopping by from the Northwestern State Demons stopping by. We got Lexi stopping by, Lexi Dawson, a great softball player. So it's going to be a great night of sports tomorrow night. And we got many more to come, Dane. I just got confirmation yesterday. We're picking up one of our buddies that works with Miley Cyrus and Brandy Carlisle stopping by. So it's fun. Branching out a little bit into some different genres and all that to give you guys a little bit more of a broad range. So many more great opportunities ahead with sports and music. The ball just keeps on rolling, if you will. So we'll end that for the night on this one. We want to get this one as soon as we can out to the world. So as we always say, don't forget that we love you. And Dane,
thank you for listening.